Ryan Wolf. I'm joined here tonight by Curtis Nye. Here at Four Horsemen Comics and Gaming, we've got some modern action for you tonight. So hopefully you guys are ready for that.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. This is Curtis's first time in our booth tonight, so hopefully we get all the kinks out and we'll go from there.
Yeah. Bear with me, everyone.
Kick down to the match here. We've got Tyler Claypole on the left playing Merfolk versus Daniel Wells playing Red Green Ponza. We only got 3 rounds tonight, so we'll see how this goes for our competitors. So we're going to get them started, and here we go. Looks like Tyler won the dice roll, and starting off with a Flooded Strand, taking him down to 19.
There we go, and he's tapping the island. Trying to find the card he's looking for there. Okay, he puts down the Curse Catcher for the first turn there.
Have you ever played the Merfolk deck before, Kurt?
I have not had the chance.
It's pretty fun. I mean, it's pretty linear, it feels like sometimes. Just the way that it goes.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty feast or famine type of deck to me from what I've seen from it. Either you go all in and you really set in the win there, or you kind of get trounced on. Right. That's my take on it, at least.
Yeah. Daniel led off with a Utopia Sprawl on a forest. Ty looks like he's maybe passing back. No? Well.
Oh.
Looks like he has a Spreading Seas in his hand. And he's thinking about Spreading Seasing the forest. Be a pretty good play here because that Utopia Sprawl will fall right off.
All right.
Yeah,
it looks like that's what he did there.
Yep. So Daniel now has
sets him back quite a bit.
Yeah. So the Red Green Ponza deck is a little interesting. It's, for those of you who don't know what the Red Green Ponza deck is, it's kind of just a land destruction deck that tries to outvalue its opponents by making sure they have no lands. Uses a series of spells like Stone Rain, Boom Bust, and Molten Rain to kind of get rid of all your opponent's lands, get them down to 0 in a quick fetch, timely fashion. Daniel's playing a couple big fatties this weekend. I know he's got some Inferno Titans in his deck. Storm Breath Dragon. Yeah. I think I saw a Huntmaster of the Fells in his sideboard.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So
the Ponza deck is neat. I am just not too familiar with it myself, to be perfectly honest with you. And it's one of the more interesting decks. We don't really see it too much here at the store with our kind of local meta here.
Right. Our local meta's a little weird though. Like
it is. You know, it's pretty varied. There's not really too many people playing the same deck archetype all that often in the same night. So
right. So looks like we got Silver Gill Adept followed up by revealing another Silver Gill Adept to draw a title. Looks like he's trying desperately to find that next land.
Yeah, trying to put as much damage in as possible too before his resources start getting taken away from him.
So we got the big dice being used tonight, but unfortunately they're a little bit off screen, so we're going to get that fixed for us by the next round just to try to get there. We got some big mana stuff coming here. So that looks like it was a Stone Rain. Can't tell what edition that is. That's just destroy target land. Yeah, that's
that's the Ponza deck going to work right
That's
there.
exactly what you do. Daniel realized that his opponent needed the Tyler needed the second blue source, and well, might as well blow it up.
Right.
So, and smartly he played around the Curse Catcher. Here comes another Spreading Seas on the stomping ground.
Lots of land hate going on between these two decks right now. It's very interesting. I feel like you don't see it all that much.
You really
these
don't.
Two deck types. So.
There's a couple other. There's the red-white Ponza deck that does some similar sort of things. It plays things like Flagstones.
Oh, interesting.
So the Flagstones lets him do a couple other kooky things that he can play the Flagstones, sacrifice the Flagstones, and Boom Bust.
Oh, interesting.
And that way he can go get another plane, so he really doesn't even lose a land.
Oh, that's going to be frustrating to play against. Do they typically run like a Johnny Vengeance in that kind of deck?
Yeah, typically.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of some of the bigger land haters.
It usually plays stuff like Boom Bust, Goblin Dark Dwellers.
Okay.
Because if you cast Boom and it's in your graveyard, then you can target it with Goblin Dark Dwellers and then cast the Bust portion of it. So that way it'll blow up everybody's lands, and then you have a 4/4 with Menace.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty sound strategy to me.
Yeah. You can also play Boom Bust with, what's that other card? Magus of the Tabernacle.
Oh, wow.
Which
Magus of the Tabernacle.
Yeah. Oh, and here comes the Huntmaster of the Fells. Daniel's going to gain 2 life. He's going to get a wolf. Now he's got some blockers for these pesky merfolk that Tyler just keeps bringing to the board.
And that's potentially going to put Tyler in a tight spot now. He's not really going to be able to put any damage through, and meanwhile, Daniel's going to be able to keep sitting there taking away his mana resources, which he's already desperately short on.
Right. Tyler looks like he's opting to just play another Silvergill lad up here instead of pathing the Huntmaster. That may come back to bite Tyler a little bit, as Huntmaster's just going to keep flipping back and forth if Daniel wants him to.
Yeah, it definitely seems like maybe a bit of a desperation play there. Tyler might be thinking that he might just try to trade some or raise some damage in there by just having virtue of more creatures.
Right. So Huntmaster's going to flip. It's going to do, I believe it's 2. I don't remember if it's 2 or 3. We're going to check that out real quick. I actually just don't remember if Huntmaster does 2 or 3. If somebody in the chat can help us out, we're going to go ahead and mark 2. I believe that's what it is.
Let's get that looked up here real quick.
So we'll see what happens. And yeah, so he kills the Curse Catcher. I know no matter what it flips with, it's going to kill the Curse Catcher. So it just matters of what damage is actually going to go to Tyler there. Tyler looks like he's going to path the Huntmaster of the Fails, which, you know, that's fine. I don't think Daniel really cares that that's happening here.
No, the Huntmaster's not really, doesn't seem to be quite a key card at this moment. I definitely think he'll be okay without it. And I just looked that up. It is 2 damage on the Huntmaster.
Alright, so Tyler's going to get a little frisky in there with that Silvergill lad. Yeah, you're Daniel, you probably just take the 2 here. Like, it's not that big of a deal. And then he's going to path so Tyler with the heads up play, pathing his own Silvergill lad up to get the second blue source. So that's kind of something that Tyler hasn't ever really done before in the past.
It's not necessarily a bad play. I mean, he is in a bit of a tight spot already, and if he's been sitting on a few draws without getting any lands.
It looks like he's had a couple lords that he's been waiting on.
So get a look at his hand there.
Daniel looks like he's ramping up for something here. I'm not exactly sure what.
It definitely looks like he's trying to get his mana sources figured out here.
Alright, so possibly a Kestic Wolfrun activation? No? What is this? I don't know if I know this card that's about to be played.
I didn't get quite a good look at it.
That is a green land destruction spell. It looks like it's destroy a land, get a land. I don't know what that spell's called.
Yeah, I can't think of it off the top of my head right at this time.
Once we go to game 2, we'll figure out what that particular card was, and then I really don't remember.
I believe if memory serves, I think that card showed up in the Time Spiral block as a green land destruction source.
Okay, but that looks like it was a 5-mana land destruction.
Yeah. Let me see if I can get it looked up here.
So we're going to reveal another Merfolk here. Tyler still only has 3 mana. Looks like this is doing exactly what we wanted to have happen for the land destruction deck. Lord buffs up that Silvergill.
Yeah, so I got that card looked up too. It is a card that I have not seen many people use in any capacity, but is Monvuli Acid Moss from the Time Spirals.
Oh, okay, so the Acid Moss, okay.
Yep, and it is destroy target land and then tutor for a forest and put in play taps. So.
Okay, so looks like So Daniel has to really get rid of the Master of Waves here. Looks like he has a Mizium Orders in his hand. Looks like he's got the mana to overload it. So Mizium Orders is a red and 1. Has an overload cost of, I believe it's 3 red and 2. And it can deal 4 damage to each creature an opponent controls if you overload it. If not, it just deals 1. It just deals 4 damage to 1.
So either way, it's definitely a card that will set Tyler back quite a bit.
Right. So Daniel needs to preserve his life total here, and I think that's just exactly how he's going to have to do it.
He cast another Acid Moss.
So he's going to. So
he's really just trying to.
But what is this going to do?
Source lockdown, I suppose. Maybe he thinks he.
Okay, so what Daniel could do here, so he can not just die here on the crackback, because he is dead on board. He's probably just going to kill the Lord with the Mizium Orders. Just kill the Lord. That way he doesn't have to worry about dying on the crackback.
That would be, I mean, I don't see many other options for him at this
Yep,
point.
So what that's going to do is going to kill the Master of Waves. Then he's cast 2 spells. Huntmaster flips. So Daniel's going to gain another 2. Get another wolf. So now he has a blocker. And he gained the 2 life. So Daniel just really just turned this entire game around here. With some just kind of key draws here.
Right, yeah, he definitely, it's that shutting down the opponent's land base, that mana source. If Tyler can't cast his spells, he can't really put any kind of follow through in to try to get the win. You know, it's going to be hard for him to trade back and mount any kind of defense at this point.
Right, and so looks like Daniel's pointing out that he has a Keswick Wolf Run to just pump whatever creature that doesn't get blocked to just go ahead and kill Tyler.
Yeah, it looks like Tyler scoops here.
So
first one here goes to Daniel.
Yeah, so it's a pretty interesting matchup. Not exactly sure what's going to come out of the sideboard here from the Ponza deck. What do you think that the Merfolk deck needs to be looking to bring in to maybe try to combat this?
I think it might just be Tyler might need to be careful about keeping a hand with a questionable land source. It really seemed like not having access to his mana to cast his spells really set him back there. As far as that's a tough call because I don't see the Merfolk deck having too many tools in its kit to kind of keep itself safe from that level of land destruction.
Right, and that's exactly what I was thinking. And it's kind of what the Ponza deck does, either the red-green or the red-white version of it, where it's just attacking on such a different axis that nobody really sees that it's going to not really be able to be combated with really easily.
Yeah, it's the land destruction. You know, it's a real interesting thing in the game of Magic because lands are so pivotal to the game. But I feel like aside from being sure that you can have the mana to cast your spells, I feel like people don't really pay too much attention to it unless they're running a deck specifically. Any kind of land-based deck that lets you win, and the Ponza deck really it kind of goes over the traditional realms of interaction with other decks and just hits them at the source, which is really interesting to me. And yeah, I don't see Merfolk. Might be just a bad matchup for Tyler here. I don't know. I mean, I guess he'd probably have to just hope that he gets enough lands to keep himself afloat so that he can really establish some control over the board with his creature base.
Right.
To go in for the damage there, but especially with Daniel packing Mizium Orders and things like that, I feel like it's really going to be tough for Tyler to kind of keep any kind of lead.
Well, so if Tyler's able to, hopefully Daniel doesn't have all the land destruction right off the bat. Hopefully Tyler's able to just power out a 1-drop, a 2-drop, a 3-drop, you know, kind of that sort of draw, or maybe even find the vial.
Right, I was just actually thinking about the Aether Vials. If he could find his Aether Vials, that could really be the key for him hanging in there for these matches.
Right. The Vials, I think, are really good, and then Master Waves are pretty good if he can get to the 4 lands. But I think that's not going to happen very well. So I think that the Vials is going to be the most important card.
Yeah, the protection from red on the Master of Waves really helps to keep it really safe from the traditional burn methods there.
Yeah, I mean, and that seems to be exactly what Daniel is. Seems to be all of his removal. It doesn't look like he's playing like an acidic slime or something silly like that. I mean,
but he is running the Mwanvuli Acid Moss.
I mean, sometimes when you want to blow up the lands, you got to blow up all the lands.
Well, when you think about it in the Ponza deck, it makes a ton of sense. You get to blow up a land, you get to fetch a land for yourself. So really, you're getting almost
two spells in one. I mean, it's 5 mana, right? So
it is pricey, but
so you're basically Far Seeking, or I guess Rampant Growthing, plus Stone Raining in the same card.
Stone Rain, yeah.
So,
but it puts you up essentially 2 land on the other, on your opponent there, which is a huge advantage, especially if he can get it out on turn 5 after he's already maybe been destroying a couple lands on turn 3 or turn 4. So,
whenever I've played any version of the Ponza deck, sometimes it just feels like that you have trouble doing anything late game. Granted, it's more of in a control shell than the versions that I've played. I've never played the red-green Ponza, but Daniel seems to find the correct things that he's looking for as far as playing it with Huntmaster of the Fells.
Yeah, that definitely. I mean, just that one creature play alone kept him safe from the substantial amount of creature damage for quite some time. It seemed to really buy him the time to lock up the lands there with the rest of his spells.
Right. So Tyler leads off with the Merfolk land. I never remember what it's actually called. Reveals a Silvergill Adept and goes from there. And he also kept 6, so he scribed at the top. Daniel leads off with a Stomping Ground, shocks himself, plays a Birds of Paradise. Here comes a Spreading Seas on that Stomping Ground.
Oh, goodness.
So, in a way, Tyler kind of has his own land destruction himself.
He does, and that's another thing about the Merfolk deck that makes it kind of neat. I haven't, unfortunately, had a lot of time to play the Merfolk deck. Oh, and we got
Stone Rain on
Stone Rain on turn 2.
The turn 2 Stone Rain, well, that hurts a little bit.
Yeah, the Merfolk deck, for a blue deck to be so aggro sort of and have the more interesting methods of control such as Spreading Seas, as opposed to really running a ton of hard counter spells and things like that. I always admire that, especially from a blue deck, because I know personally, you play your typical control deck, blue-white, blue-white,
so you're gonna
combination.
You play a lot of remands and mana leaks and that sort of thing. So Tyler has the fetch land, shocks itself to get the Hallowed Fountain, plays a Master of Waves. I thought he was going to go for another Spreading Seas, but he chose to go get some pressure on the board instead. I think that's probably right here, just for the simple fact that it lets him, just try to stabilize. The one thing that Tyler's not doing, he's not playing the full complement of Spreading Seas and Seas Claims. So, and there's another story.
Yeah, so that leaves him in the. I mean, he can try to race for the land shutdown, but it's a race he's going to lose every time. Cause essentially, I mean, if he's running 4 Seas Claims, that's 4 lands. Daniel can easily ramp past need for those and just keep hitting.
And then here's Tyler stuck on 1 land again. Which doesn't really do anything for him. 4 mana. It's like Garrick Wildspeaker. Garrick
Wildspeaker. Very interesting. Very interesting card to run in this deck. It seems almost like he might have sideboarded that in for maybe a win con there.
Yeah,
the ultimate.
The ultimate possibly, just I guess just making an army of beast is also not too bad. Daniel looks like he's just untapping lands though with it, just to kind of.
Well, he's definitely going to use that to keep him afloat. I think it's interesting, but I definitely see the value in it. You know, he was probably worried that he might.
I think Tyler just made a large mistake there by spreading seizing the force there. I think he probably should have spreading seized the Kessig Wolfrung.
Definitely, that way he loses out on
right, especially with Daniel having 2 birds in play. Like, I definitely would have just went for the Kessig Wolfrung there. Like, because that's probably how he's going to die, is the overrun plus extra mana.
Right, yeah, he has the option here, Daniel has the option here, definitely, like you said, of creating the beasts if he wants to lock up the board there. He is going to have to take care of that. That's a Master of the Pearl Trident on the board there.
Right.
Which I believe gives all the Merfolk Island Walk.
Gives all other Merfolk Island Walk, and I believe it's all Merfolk you control, I believe. That's what it is.
Correct, yeah.
Right.
+1/+1 in Island Walk, which, I mean, obviously goes well with the Seas claims, but, I mean, right now with Tyler's board state, if Daniel were to choose to start putting some beasts onto the battlefield, he wouldn't really be able to win that race.
Right.
Tyler wouldn't be able to win that race at this time.
Looks like Tyler has a path in his hand. It doesn't really do much. Daniel's holding on to an Ancient Grudge and maybe a Fire Spout. That kind of is what that looks like.
It does look a little bit like that, yeah. Yeah, the Path to Exile doesn't really help Tyler out that much right now. Hitting it on a beast, I feel like wouldn't be a very great play unless he was truly desperate. Hitting it on the birds is a little pointless because Daniel is just continuing to build his mana.
I think Daniel messed up a little bit.
Oh.
Well, luckily it's F&M. There's a little bit of takesy-backsies allowed.
Yeah. A little more casual here in this environment.
So we'll try to get
What does it look like he was trying to do?
So he's tapping a red and a green. So he has activated for Kessig. Add 2.
So he's trying to pump
Okay,
the bird.
and then he's going to add 2 more mana with that. So it looks like he's Kessig Wolf running for 4.
Onto the birds.
Onto the birds.
And Kessig Wolf Run, is that +X+0?
+X+0 and Trample. Trample's pretty relevant for numerous reasons, but
I mean, any form of evasion on a creature is better than no evasion.
Right.
So, especially, I mean, he's got the birds that already have flying.
Yeah.
Tyler's Merfolk all have Island Walk, so there's not really any blocking that's going to be going on right now in this game. So I think
I don't think there's any blocking going on at all today.
Yeah, so at this point, it looks like Daniel might just be looking to race the Merfolk damage with the Kessig Wolf Run and the birds, and that's where I think you definitely hit the nail on the head. Seas Claim, or is that Spreading Seas?
The Spreading Seas. He's not playing the Seas Claim.
He's not playing the Seas. Okay.
So
yeah, Spreading Seas, I think definitely should have gone on the Kessig Wolf Run there for sure.
Yeah.
Without that, he definitely could have stalled the board enough or forced. There's the S and Moss again.
So Tyler's just going to fire off a path the birds. We'll see if they do a little bit of shortcutting here.
Okay, looks like he tapped it for
a mana.
Tapped it to float. We'll see if he does anything with it.
Right. So
yeah, but as I was saying before, definitely going back to the Spreading Seas on the Kessig Wolf Run, I think if Tyler had done that, then he would have probably been forcing Garrett to have to
make beasts instead of
beasts, and it
instead
would have hit his
untapping.
loyalty, and then if he was really worried about it, he could always swing one of his Merfolk into Garrett when he's low enough and just take that out.
Because it wouldn't be able to be blocked, so I don't know. Some small things here and there. Daniel's pretty good at the game, and I'm sure he'll be able to kind of help him out and let him know after the game that hey, maybe you should have been doing this instead. Right. So I think it is a Fire Spout that's coming down. Since he floated the red, He's going to use Garrick, so he still has the one floating. He's going to untap 2 lands. And then he's going to fire spout.
That's definitely a fire spout there. Yep.
And it's going to do 2 damage to each creature. Since he didn't put any green into it, it's not going to hit the flyer. Maybe he forgot about the one floating. That's okay.
Well, good thing there's no mana burn left anymore.
You know, I missed those days, actually.
Oh, mana burn? Mana burn was fun.
Mana burn was a fun mechanic for me.
Finding ways to abuse mana burn, I think, introduced an interesting element to the game. I definitely understand why Wizards of the Coast chose to remove it from the game. I mean, there's definitely more reasons to not have it than to have
right.
it.
I mean, there's a lot of times where it just feels like it didn't. That it just was the feel bads for the new player.
Right, yeah, because if you don't know about the mana burn, you were going to get hit by it. You can't avoid it if you don't know about it. Yeah, exactly. It definitely feels bad. On the other hand, though, it definitely was pretty amusing if you knew you were going to lose instead of just conceding to just suicide by mana burn.
So, I mean, there's always that aspect, I suppose.
Right.
But I think it was great because a lot of the old control decks of the day were able to do that sort of thing where they just took advantage of the mana burn. So
yeah, definitely. And I know there's some older cards. I can't remember off the top of my head. Yeah, there are some that still reference it. I think there were some cards that could actually. I mean, when Mindslaver came out, mana burn was a big problem. I think that's probably one of the main reasons.
Right, because people would just
getting rid of it because
you Mindslaver them and then you don't have anything left.
Right, yeah, the turn you Mindslaver, if they've got 6 or 7 lands down, you're just tapping down their lands and hitting them for 7, and they're just wasting their whole turn dealing damage to themselves. Right. Definitely, I think, removed a lot of potentially fun interactions.
Yeah. So it looks like Daniel just overran Garrick to give his bird and his beast +3/+3 a trample. It's gonna kind of just blow right past this little region. Well,
removes the board. So I mean, that's 9. That's 9 coming in. That's lethal. Yeah. And that's the game.
That is the game. We're gonna try to go ahead and try to find a second match for you guys. We'll be right back. If we can't, we'll be back at the beginning of round 2. Thanks again for tuning in. This is Four Horsemen Comics and Gaming. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Forestman Comics and Gaming. We have a new match for you. We actually are now into round 2. Both of these players are currently 1-0. As I fill out the rest of this real quick.
Yeah, we had took a look at the deck list that people brought in tonight. Definitely seems like we have
Very
a
aggro.
number of very quick aggro decks tonight. So these rounds are probably going to move along pretty quick.
On the left, we have...
That's Daniel on the left, isn't it?
No. That's Kyle. Kyle Wiggle. Sorry, guys. I apologize. I came back totally unprepared for this. We've got Kyle Wiggle on Bloomless Titan. And then on the right,